and there was a method to my madness. All that being said, I'm going to divide you up now into two sets of four, which we'll go through in a moment. The first item, if you go back a few pages, you'll see this pre-job planning workshop. At your table, and yes, I will have two groups working on the same module. You're going to be filling in some blanks. This first one here is the actual process and tool. So you'll notice the first column says what should be discussed between estimating and project management. The next column is what should be discussed between project management in the field. And then lastly, what should a stand and deliver have? Now, I realize we blew through the agenda that I showed you, and I know a lot of you had some great feedback about the font size, and my apologies. Obviously, I'm looking at it on a computer screen versus what you're looking at there. If you can't see something, let me know. You have the samples in here. So if you're saying, hey, what are some types of things that might be on an agenda for the PM to field? Well, just flip a few pages back and you'll see some samples there. You might even just start from scratch. Don't even use that list. But what are some things that we should have standardized on our tool? If you're wondering about the stand and deliver, that's that forum that I talked about where you said we're basically playing the devil's advocate. Go back a couple pages, the one with the little blue circles on it, and you will see some opportunity for discussion. But what would be great things that might be poking holes into your strategy? And I know it's not comfortable to have senior management poke at you, but I'd much rather poke holes on paper than when we got a building going up. So that's going to be group one. Group number two has the dubious distinction of being short-interval planning daily huddle. Yes, I'm double combining because with 5 activities and 8 groups, that's math that's above my pay grade, so I'm combining. That being said, group number 2 is going to take this and think about what should our short interval plan look like. Hopefully everyone has a pen handy. What you're going to do is scratch stuff out, draw stuff in, change some verbiage. If you just simply say, I think ours should be a 2-week, you don't have to add Monday through Sunday or something, and just say add a second week. So that's that part. And then you're also going to look at the daily huddle. So if you were designing a board for your trade contractors to where every trade had a board like that, what would it look like? Keep it simple, keep it generic. Once again, I've kind of created a cheat sheet for you. There is no right answer. Actually, the only wrong answer, I said that wrong. There is no wrong answer. The only right answer that you should get is whatever is going to be working for Benning. So yes, group number 2, you get to customize the short interval plan, customize the daily huddle. If you don't like either, just go ahead and start from scratch. To me, we want to make something that's generic for you. The third group is our exit strategy. Here's your sample, which I know the font is tiny. I can help you read any of that. But you're going to do this. You're going to go through, figure out who should be at our organization. Who should be there? I said that twice. When should it be? Meaning what time of the project? 80, 90%? Who should be there? And then what items should we cover? For instance, I gave you the discussion of the point of sale equipment. So when is the point of sale equipment showing up? The punch list, who's going to handle that? Retention collection, as-built, O&M manuals, testing and commissioning. I've already probably given you too much already. So think about what should be part of discussion items for our exit strategy. Next, and last but not least, my favorite, the post-job review. So you're going to come up with some very simple things. I want you to think about, pick some customers, and then more importantly, what do they like, not like? And as I said before, these are customer-isms. And you may say, well, Publix in the Mid-Atlantic region, you know, they like to have, they don't like green and white, they love purple and white. Okay, great, thanks, we'll put that in the database. The next piece you're going to talk about are what are some best practices that you've observed. You know, I can tell you in my previous life, one of the things when we would do tilt wall construction, there were very specific things that we didn't self-perform tilt wall, but we would demand our tilt contractors actually do. We would go through and check their processes and procedures to make sure that they weren't just slapping a bunch of stuff together. And we would make sure that they had drip edges above doors, things like that. But what are some best practices you've observed? So we want to start to think about what our library should have. And then last but not least, the dreaded mistake. God forbid we have them, but what did we learn from it? So it's easy to say, yeah, we didn't meet this deadline, or we had a bad quality issue here. Wonderful. What did you learn from it? For instance, one of the things we were putting down was for a printed circuit board manufacturer, it was a very unusual floor system. It was like a vinyl tile, but it was a static dissipative tile. And they had a very unique water cement content, you know, and so obviously these tiles would pop up off the floor if you had too much water in the concrete. Well, what is concrete but water, cement, and aggregate? All that being said, there was a certain cure time that we had to make sure of. We found out the hard way about that, I might add, and we had tiles popping up. So we went back and said, let's take the information we learned and it becomes part of our best practices. Does that make sense to everybody? So, all that being said, I'm going to divide you up into groups. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, actually, you guys can stay there. Actually, you're missing a couple people, aren't you? In that back table? Yeah, okay, no problem. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, do you remember what number you were?
No.
Yes.
We're one. Okay, one.
So, my ones. Yes, sir. All right, pause.